how would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Will, which is joining us from Utah, United States, and he's the founder of Entrepreneurs Apprentice and the co-founder of Data Automation. So this would be nice to hear this answer from a serial entrepreneur, someone that has owned several businesses. So we tell us, what are the secrets? What is your secret to make your first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So I would say the 5 steps that I would take to make my first million would be, first, to find a problem to solve. So the reason I say start with a problem is because I often hear people say, no, start with a passion, something you're excited about. And I found that the passion is important, but isn't what makes money. The passion is often something that should be a hobby and should remain a hobby, because that's where you enjoy it. A business is something that pumps out money at the end of the day and has very defined, structured inputs. And so when you take something that's fluffy, like a passion, whether that be photography or whether that be, baking cakes, and you push that fluffy thing through the machine of creating a business, at the end, you aren't as passionate about it anymore because it became monotonous. So I say start with a problem to solve. Then after you've found that problem, solve it for yourself. So find that problem. And if it's not a problem you have, I'm okay with that. It had better be a problem that you're willing to completely understand. So like, let's say that you were like, well, I know accountants have a really hard time scaling their businesses. Well, then you better have access to somebody or convince somebody to have access to an accounting firm where you can interview them like crazy. So the second step is solve that problem for one person and then charge them something. And a lot of times you won't be able to give them a price right off the bat because you don't know what it's going to take, but throw something out there, set an expectation. This is not for free, but I will solve this problem and we'll figure out something that's equitable. So solve that problem for one person. Then after you've solved it for one person, you need to start going out there. The third step would be solve that problem for 10 people and build a recurring revenue model. So let's say that you're helping small accountant businesses scale their businesses. You'd solve that for one accounting business. You would charge them something. Then you would turn around and say, okay, now how can I turn this into a problem that I solve for 10 accounting businesses? And I do so in a way that is repeatable and I get some recurring revenue. After you've solved that problem for those 10 people, the fourth step is to bring on an apprentice. And you could hire an apprentice through Entrepreneurs Apprentice. I use the word apprentice loosely, describing someone who's going to come in and learn what you're doing. What are you doing to solve that problem for those 10 people? And the two of you are going to begin to meld and mold and clone to create a second you who's connecting those different dots. And that's going to force you to start getting your, org chart in order, understanding all of those different pieces. And then last but not least, after you've got some kind of juice going on in there, and that fourth step is solve it for 100 people. So that same problem you solve for 10, solve it for 100, and try not to grow the team until you know that it's a team that needs to be grown and not automation or software or other things like that. Because scaling on people sucks. It's just, I love people. You can learn to scale on people, but they can be quite painful to scale on. Then the fifth thing is work yourself out of a job. So find ways to buy back your time until you're no longer in the middle of the business and you've let go of everything that's there. And the one caveat to those 5 steps, so find a problem to solve it for one person and charge them, solve it for 10 people and get paid recurring, solve it for 100 people with an apprentice, and then 5, build systems that put yourself out of a job. That's how you build your first million, because that company is going to be worth more than $1 million by the end of that. If you had 100 accounting firms that are paying you to maintain and help them scale their businesses, the retainer on that's going to be at least $2,000 a month. And so you're bringing in 20 to 30K a month more, and you're creating systems and processes that could turn into SaaS products and all sorts of hundreds of other different things. But you did so by solving a problem once, then 10 times, then 100 times. Then you started to systematically remove yourself from the business. And the caveat is, insert a line between each step that says, is this too difficult to do? i.e., give yourself a time frame. I think I can solve this problem for this accounting company in 5 to 6 weeks. Well, on week 7, if it's still not solved, maybe you need to start over and find a new problem to solve. And same thing is true of all of those different parts of the problem. If you're running up against enough resistance, it's probably time to shift that and go a different direction. So those 100%. Are my 5 steps.
Will, I love them 100%. The other day, an entrepreneur asked me in this very same podcast, Harry, what is the fastest journey from point A to B? And I said, well, the straight line. And he told me, no, it's not a straight line. It's the path with less resistance. Think about the river. Yeah. But then let's talk about the first point.
I love that, actually. Like, it's not necessarily right? A straight line.
It's brilliant. The guy, I still repeating the story, and I need to contact. It was in this podcast. I need to contact you guys. I said, man, this analogy you make, I love it so much. It's so much power in this thing that you just. That question you asked me that day, then I saying everywhere. But Will, let's go exactly, because you clearly talking by experience. Let's talk about this thing about passion and business, because this happened to me. You see, my first property, my first business was in property. We started to sell. We sold over 5 million. We did exactly what you described. 10 people, 100 people. Then one day I arrived to the office and my team told me, well, we don't need you anymore. You go home. Yeah. So I made myself even obsolete in my own business. I didn't know what to think that day that my team told me, we don't need you anymore. I'm like, man, you don't even need paper in this photocopy. They say, no, we can get our own paper. Go home, travel the world. We don't need you here. You actually, my manager told me, actually, the problem of this business is you, because you come and talk to us and don't let us work. Clearly, you have nothing to do and you're disturbing us. Go home, don't come here. So, but in that process, Will, then I said, wow. And because it was landing services, I was doing property. So I said, what does my clients want? So my clients want to learn English. So I open an English school. And my clients want to find jobs. So I open a career advice. Yeah. And then it came my passion. I always want to have a restaurant, yeah, to have a restaurant. I don't know why this passion was in my head. And then I forced that an upsell product for my current business would be to open a restaurant so the clients for the property can come and eat. Long story short, I lost 2 years of my life, 200,000 pounds. I lost my girlfriend back on the time. And also my property business also collapsed because I was 2 years, Monday to Sunday, in that thing. Yeah. So I learned in a hard way what you just described about passion versus problem solving. So what is your view? However, Will, now, for example, after I have a business that create the foundation, yeah, I think that doing this podcast and doing what we do, speakers and leaders, do conference all over the world to share how people can grow business, something that I like and I enjoy it a lot. However, this is like my passion, right? and yeah, has going better, but it's all been, let's say, my property business give me the capital or and the knowledge to actually go after my passion. So my question to you, Will, what is your passion, and do you have a business out of your passion, or or you still or you stick to what you just shared? Look, business is business. Solve a problem exactly what you method, because I can tell you that what you just described, entrepreneurs will make a million and the business is not gonna fail if they don't deviate what you just described. But just tell us about this passion thing. Which sometimes, if you're not careful, you take a big hit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say for me specifically, um, I I started out in entrepreneurship and I tried many different things. I graduated from college in marketing. I went in, I discovered that one of the things I was passionate about was entrepreneurship. I was just
Mm-hmm.
passionate about the idea of building something from nothing. Um, and I did discover that I had a passion for automating things. But the thing that was interesting is I didn't go into it looking for that passion. I went into the business looking for problems to solve. And just in
100%.
my normal day job, I discovered that they had a lot of Excel problems, lots of things that just were not, they were taking a long time. I was given 8 to 16 hours of copying and paste work at the marketing agency that I was working at. And it was 8 to 16 hours of copy paste work that was having to happen every week. And so I taught myself, this is before AI, right?
Wow.
Long before AI, I taught
Wow.
myself how to code in Visual Basic so that I could program
Wow.
Excel to do all of that different stuff. And the reason I did that is because I was so tired of like poking at this problem and trying to figure out where to go and how it should work and all of those different things. And so as I dug into that more deeply, I started to realize, wait a second, this could be a business. Um, and
Wow.
I solved that problem first for myself, then for multiple people inside the office. Then I went to a new company and I started solving that problem again inside that company. And the guy, and this is actually one thing that I did not put in my steps that I meant to put in my steps. So I think I would want to add a sixth step, and it's
Go
going to
for it.
be
Absolutely.
my sixth step is this: find a mentor. Um, I tried to build my first company by myself. I failed miserably. It was a marketing firm. I kind of did have a mentor, but he hadn't ever built a marketing firm. I hadn't ever built a marketing firm. He'd done a print agency, like doing print and print running and all of that kind of stuff, but he'd never done a marketing firm.
Right.
And when I dug into that, I realized, wait a second, this is not working, and it's not working because I've never done it before. And so when you find a problem to solve and then you solve it for that one person and charge them, I think step 3, rather than go solve it for 10 people, is find a mentor who has solved this problem or built something like what you want to build. So like going back to that accounting firm, like I help accounting firms scale their businesses. Go find someone who has built a services agency. Doesn't have to be associated with accounting, doesn't have to be associated with anything. Just what are you building? Is it a staffing company? Is it an e-commerce business? What are you building? Go find someone who has built one of those and invite them to be a mentor. And a lot of times it's just as simple as, hey, I'll give you 1% equity and I want to have a monthly meeting with you for an hour where you
Mm-hmm.
just tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of
Very
really smart
powerful.
people out there who will give you 1 hour of their time in exchange for 1% because they're risk takers. Wait, so
Absolutely.
1 hour of my time for the next 2 to 3 years, and it's once a month. So we're talking about like 36 hours total, and I get 1% of your company. So if that makes it big, that thing could be worth 100K. I'll take that all day long. So especially if you find somebody who has done it before, a lot of times they really enjoy being the expert.
100%.
And so you bring them problems that they want to solve. So that's I'm inserting a new step there. And the new step would be, after you've solved it for one person, and you've charged that person, step 3 is go find a mentor who has solved it before, or solved not the same problem as you, but built a machine. That's probably the key. Find a mentor who has built a machine similar to the one you want to build. Because remember, step 5 is automate your way and delegate your way out of a job. Like,
exactly.
Fire yourself. So find somebody else who has successfully fired themselves from a machine, and give them some equity and bring them in to help you figure out how to go at that. That's a step I'm going to add to my.
And then, Will, I love this step. I'll tell you why. Because you and I, because I failed. Huge, and you know what? It's interesting. You fail in business, and everybody disappear from your life. I didn't see this coming. Your friends, your girlfriends. So when everything goes bad, it's just don't go bad in the business. Somehow everybody disappear when I failed so bad in this restaurant. However, well, you and I have to learn in the hard way, which is failing, like you said, badly. You do learn, especially I learn a lot when I lose money. A lot, you see. And when I see people giving all these thousands of pounds or dollars to study an MBA, Master in Business Administration, I would recommend them better. Look, open a restaurant where I did in Brick Lane in London. You will see you're gonna have the best master on business and the best MBA of your life if you can pull this off and make it work. Because God, restaurants are difficult.
And even if you can't pull it off,
you will learn, right?
I've found that sometimes the best learning is from the failures.
Yeah,
I definitely know how to not do this again.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, Will, I remember when after this failing, I didn't even know what I want, but I did know what I didn't want. I knew that I don't want to spend never again Monday to Sunday in a business that if I'm not around, it doesn't work. It can't operate. This I learned. I lost 2 years of my life. Maybe not. Maybe made me who I am today. But I knew what I don't want. So next, and I didn't know. I didn't know that. So I wanted to start up businesses after this big failure in a different way. However, Will, something that probably contribute a little bit. So let's talk about, because for you to recognize that you need a mentor, and you asking for help. For us entrepreneurs, when we start, we have a big ego. Otherwise we want to start a business. We think that we can do better. No entrepreneur cannot come and tell me, no, we don't have ego. Of course, we all have it. We think that we can do better. However, at some point, somehow we need to let go that ego and recognize that, hey, I need help. And I think what point in your life you decide that, okay, you're gonna surrender that ego? You don't think that you have big ego to that you recognize, okay, I failed badly. But when you look into yourself and say, you know what, I'm solving this problem for this company. I came to another company and I solved it. I can make money out of this. Now you go into business and wow, something doesn't work. I don't understand why, because I have something that people can pay for it. But of course, you have to generate the leads. You have to be the brand. You have to learn a lot of things that you didn't even know that exist. You know, when people talk to me about tax and accounting, I'm like, what? I have to do this every year. Every year, you know what I mean? I didn't even know that a lot of these kind of strange things I need to learn running a business. You know, tax and things like this. So but then, will how you, what point, how you have this internal conversation within you that say, you know what, um, I'm not gonna quit, but I have to change something within myself and ask for help. I'm asking you because I know it's tough.
So
It's difficult, yeah.
wildly difficult. I think the only true teacher of humility is failure. Like I think that's where you learn to have that internal conversation is you fail a couple of times. I
And you
definitely
realize that you're not the big shot anymore like you thought you were.
So I got fired from a job because I wasn't doing cold calling like they wanted me to. I was working for a newspaper and they said, yeah, we want you to cold call this way. And I was kind of headstrong and I wanted to cold call that way. And I wanted to push on the internet instead of the newspaper. And they said, no, I need you to focus on the newspaper. And did that enough times where they said, here's the door. And it was very painful because for someone not to want me was, I mean, just super painful. Looking at myself introspectively, that allowed me to step up and say, you know what? I'm willing to do the hard stuff. So I went and got a call center job. And then I went and got a job at a marketing agency as an intern. I said, you know what? Maybe I don't know everything.
Wow.
Maybe I need somebody to teach me a few of these things so that I can grow into becoming a business owner and connecting these different dots. And so for me, I had to eat my humble pie. If that's your challenge, is you're having a hard time owning that you need help, or you can't seem to figure out what's going wrong, but you also can't seem to fix it by yourself, I would recommend reading a book called Leadership and Self-Deception. That's a fantastic one that really kind of gets inside your head. And then the second one I would read is Extreme Ownership. Both of those books will do a number on your psyche from a standpoint of helping you identify how you are the problem. And once you acknowledge that and accept that, then it's about therapy and, getting help not only inside your business, but outside your business so that you can be a healthy, emotionally intelligent individual on both sides of it.
I think, Will, that entrepreneurs out there still they don't even know the power or how a mentor can actually change and improve their life. I think that the problem is there is a lot of resistance in entrepreneurs to find a mentor because one, they're in this ego. I'm the boss. I know everything. I don't need help from anybody. I'm gonna make it work. But then you find them working like me, Monday to Sunday, no stop, no time to talk with the families, with the wife, with the children. Health problem as well, because you're tired, you're excited, and all this negative emotion. The business is not working. This negative emotion become a negative emotional pain can become a physical pain, and people can have an illness. Can give you cancer. Can give you one guy in this same podcast. He had three businesses. He was making selling over $1 million in one of his businesses, and the guy was vomiting blood. I told me, Harry, I'm running this business. This business is gonna run me, and he took a plane and he went to Thailand for a year. And guess what? His business still around, and he understood that because sometimes if we don't learn how to deal with these negative emotions, then because Will is is very hard. Number one, this part when we fail, right? Is some people jump out of the bridge. Some people with less debt than I have, 200,000, they commit crazy things. Yeah. I managed to get back again somehow. I still don't know how, but I managed to get up again. However, um, is so let me ask you a question as an startup founder, because there is something, there are several things problem that we find entrepreneurs. Number one, this one that you stretch, find a mentor. All the entrepreneurs out there, they're having a lot of resistance. Yeah. But if they do what you say, find a mentor that already achieved what you want to achieve. Yeah.
Yep.
And you do your due diligence properly, I doubt that you're not gonna grow. But the second thing is that we have this, you start in a business, right? And now it's difficult to find the clients. Nobody knows you. The suppliers want to charge you a lot of money because nobody knows you. Then something in the operation of the equipment, they don't want to lend you money. The bank doesn't want to give you a little bit startup money funding. So now you have all this negative emotion, and eventually the business doesn't work and it breaks after you work tirelessly from Monday to Sunday. And if you don't release these negative emotions, they're still there. And sometimes for me, it's still with me for years. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Until, and I was angry. I was very nervous. I was very aggressive. That also reflects on the business as well, somehow. But at some point, I had to learn that how I cannot be like this anymore. It will affect my health. It's gonna give me a heart attack.
Yep.
The contractors sometimes, I don't know, they come there and they charge the wrong part in the boiler and they overcharge me. I'm taking like, oh my God, blah, blah. I'm thinking I was not even looking after that. If I get like that, it can give me a heart attack. So how you discover will in your life, how, for me, going for a walk is very good. Allow me my girlfriend likes to swim. So how you discover will that as entrepreneur, nobody understands us. We're only 2% of the population, probably less. What we go through, very few people know the amount of pressure. People say, no, but I have pressure at work. I have this. Well, when you're responsible for everybody, it's completely different ballgame that you're responsible for only one thing. Nobody knows what we go through. Nobody knows, not even our family or friends, what type of pressure we need to deal. And so how you discover that, hey, I need to work on myself. I had to get my mind ready, and I cannot affect my health. I'm not going to allow this business to kill me. I'm not doing this to. So can you tell us your view on this? And what message do you have for entrepreneurs?
So I would say that a lot of this is about boundary setting, and learning to say no. Right.
Very difficult.
Learning to know when is too much.
How you learn this?
Like I learned it by again through failure. Like lots of, man, I wish I hadn't said yes to that. There are other books that I would recommend digging into from, there's a book called The Power of No, and there's several different books that talk about this subject. I guess the big thing I would say is go back to your mentor and ask them like, hey, is this the sort of thing that I should be dealing with right now? And they're like, oh my gosh, why are you still dealing with that? Like, so my experience is look outward when you're running up against those different pieces. Set boundaries for yourself. So one boundary I set for myself is I created a thing on my phone called Family Time, and it's a mode on my phone that shuts down all of my notifications.
Wow.
As well as apps. So it won't even let me open open the apps that aren't inside family time. And so the only thing I can do on my phone at that point is phone calls and text messages. Phone calls, text messages, and I can browse the internet. But all of my games on my phone, all of my WhatsApp, my Slack, all of those, I can't even access them when it's in this mode. And so in that, when I say, oh, I got to pick up my phone and see what's going on, what's up? Have fun. Got a sick kid. No fun.
Oh.
So, my
about the family time.
Yeah, my discovery is here. You've got to allow yourself that space to let go. And so the family mode on that app allows you to have intention. So if I need to go check a WhatsApp message, like let's say in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, that client might have canceled. I should go check that. And I open up my phone and I click on the WhatsApp button and it says, this app is not allowed in family time. Are you sure you want to allow that? And then I ask myself that question. And I look up at my kid who's looking at me, hoping for my attention. And I say, the client can wait. And I set it down. Now, I don't do that every time. I'm not perfect at it. But I found that setting boundaries that go off automatically inside your systems and force you, because if it was just like, oh, I got to check on that client. I've opened up my phone, I've clicked on WhatsApp, and it's been 15 minutes before I even recognize that it's been 15 minutes because I'm just responding 100%. To people real quick.
Yeah.
Right. And so like Facebook, for example, I have a 10-minute timer. If I'm on Facebook for more than 10 minutes, it pops up and says, hey, are you sure you want to be on Facebook for more than 10 minutes? And I can add 10 more minutes for that day, but I've given myself that limit. And I moved it all around. I had an hour, I had a half hour, I had 5 minutes, I had 10, 5 minutes wasn't enough. 30 minutes was way too much. And I figured out where is the hook point where doom scrolling begins. For me, it's about 15 minutes. If I let myself go for 15, I'm going to go for like 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
So I found out, okay, where's the edge of that 2-hour cliff? Oh, it's 15. Well, then I'm going to set my limit for 10, so that I don't hit that 15 and go over the edge and spend all of that time on something that I really don't want to spend time on. So automating some of those boundaries has been really powerful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, something that I did in my property business at the beginning, that literally changed my life. It was I was doing my property business was property management. So we have over 177 tenants plus all the contractors plus the team, and everybody wants to talk to me. And I'm like, these people are gonna kill me. They don't care, they all want to talk to me. Number one, I spend the whole day on the phone talking to everyone. And number two, there are way too many. When I sleep, when I rest, when I do the other tasks. So I hired one manager, and her name was Eva. I said, Eva, from now on, you're going to be Harry. Yeah. And the second thing that I did is I put my phone in silence. And 17 years after, it still is in silent. And still I go, even my own brother, he's an IT guy. I taken my phone so many times to see how he can configure my phone to make sure I make noise for him when he called me, because, even my own brother get upset, like, look, I need to talk to you. Why you don't pick up the phone? However, it's again, it's about building those boundaries. I read the WhatsApp though, and everybody that wants to speak with me, if we allocate the time, I'm happily have a powerful, meaning conversation with that person at the time that we plan both to talk about it. because what I find out is everybody was calling me because it was urgent for them, was not urgent for me. So and if I again delegate that, but it was literally out of survival, literally out of survival. So, but we have to, as entrepreneurs, we have to start to these boundaries. It was learning by failure, but sometimes by, oh my God, I cannot take it anymore. If I don't change, these people are gonna kill me, and they don't even care that I'm dead. So
Yep.
and it takes a lot of courage what you have done. You see, to say, okay, hey, you know what? Why I'm doing this business? I'm doing this business to get out of this business and spend time with my family, and now going inside Facebook or going about this, and all the time that I save to have quality time with my family, to go for a walk. Now I'm spending in this Facebook or in this social media, or watching content that doesn't bring any value to your life. But it gets a lot of courage because it's very easy. I mean, those platforms, they're designed to make you addictive. The whole point is to hook you, and they're the best in the world doing this, right? So it's like quitting the cigarette or quitting alcohol. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage to say, you know what, I'm gonna set up boundaries for myself, and I'm gonna respect this boundary. But you know what, the positive side of it is that because you're spending that time with your family, now all these negative emotions that came from business, they all go away when you spend time with your kids, with your family. And now when you go back in business, now sad, frustrated, tired, with the mindset, oh my God, I lost a lot of time in the social media, and I couldn't see and play with the kid, and now I cannot do it because I have to focus in the business. So you clear your mind, and you give a space for something that is really important, because which is, we want all the entrepreneurs here will to be happy, wealthy, and healthy, right? Yep. It's no point because a lot of people, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs that make millions in plural, but when you look at them, sometimes how healthy they are, or how happy they are around the life, you find a lot of flaws. So it has to be a 360 approach, and it's a work in progress, and we always try to improve more and more and more. So, Will, if I think you're gonna be a great mentor, you definitely would be a great mentor for entrepreneurs out there. So if people are in love with our conversation, they want to find out more about you, about what you do, about your businesses, about your experience, how they can find you, how this process works?
Yeah. So equityhammer.com is the name of my umbrella company. And if you go to Equity Hammer, you'll see
I like the name.
It's got a description. Thank you.
The name is good.
Goes well with my hammer back there, right? So I basically invite people to go take a look at that, and there's a contact form there. The other way you can get in touch with me is via LinkedIn. So if you search for Will Christensen, Entrepreneurs Apprentice, I'm on LinkedIn, and I help entrepreneurs who are overwhelmed and are looking to clone themselves, digitally or otherwise. So I've got a community of entrepreneurs where we clone entrepreneurs, and we bring staffing to the table and a lot of other cool things like that. So I'm very interested in helping people automate, delegate, and eliminate, and we guarantee the process. So it's pretty fun.
Thank you so much, Will. And for all of you listening in Spotify and Apple, and following us on our social media, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable. How a brave entrepreneur will break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.